Welcome to it, sports fans. The MKT Show. Welcome to it. To all of you sports fans out there, it is 7:30 on this day, the 23rd day of this month in the COVID year of 2020. What a year. What a time to be alive. My goodness. What a time to be alive. Hey, today we're going to talk about a few things. All Premier League, it's back. NFL's back. LeBron lost last night. I know that. But we're talking all Premier League. And then it's really, really important. We're going to start with fantasy just now. But hey, we're going to do Q&A as well. So send your questions in. By the way, don't forget to email us, sport@cliffcentral.com. Any suggestions? Hey, what guests do you want to see? You know? These are the things. These are the things I want to talk about. So welcome to it, sports fans. Let's get straight into it. It's Wednesday. It's 7:30. We might as well get to it tonight. Just me and the lovely David. Tomorrow is, it's a holiday. I mean, as though South Africans need more holidays, but whatever. That's its own thing. I think, I don't know what name they've given tomorrow. People are saying Heritage Day. Good luck to you, whatever you call it. Enjoy your break. Enjoy your barbecue, braais, whatever you call it. Enjoy that with whoever. If you do celebrate Heritage Day for whatever it means, enjoy celebrating your heritage. Congratulations on having one. Big up, as the kids are saying. Big up. Shout out to the kids. Shout out to you on the streets. All right, let's get going. We're a sports show. I don't know anything besides sports, so let's get into that. Hey, let's start off with my fantasy team, because we got to address it. I had a decent week, all things considered. I think I got 71 points. So not too bad. I'll start at the back. Matt Ryan, Brighton, great result. 6 points. Got myself a clean sheet there. Not too bad, Matt. Australian, too short. Too short. He's 184. Don't like that. He's only, 6 centimeters taller than me? Or 5 centimeters taller than me. I'm 179. Not good enough, Matt Ryan. Do not like the height, but Brighton are a solid side. So good job. Luka Dean. Luka Dean this weekend, Everton, no good. No good on the defense, but my God, are they a force on offense. James Rodriguez, as they call him. James is incredible. James, they played Liverpool, and that was what that was, with Kepa and Jorginho on his side. Reece James had no hope. Justin, great weekend. Didn't love that he didn't get a clean sheet, but good on you getting the goal. So Leicester are looking good. Great game coming up this weekend, by the way, Leicester City. That'll be fun. Saint Maximin, I think what happened to him is he actually got psyched out of the game and he faked the hamstring, because I think Lamptey actually tore him apart. Lamptey was all over him. Absolutely played him off the park. Newcastle got dominated. That Brighton side's for real. If Brighton had a little bit of quality up front, they would have beaten Chelsea. They pulverized Newcastle. That wasn't a game. That was wowie. Anyway, Arsenal were Arsenal. Saka, I thought he had a great game. Just didn't get the assist. Sadio Mane broke my heart, and I was happy at the same time. Right? I guess it's like being on a diet and eating a double fudge muffin. It's like you're happy in the moment, but underneath you're not really happy, because moment on the lips, a lifetime on the hips. That's what happened to me with Sadio Mane. Is he scored 2 against Chelsea, but my God, 16 points for my fantasy team. Let's have at it. Plus, I didn't captain him, so a little more unhappiness there. Sadio Mane, great player. I mean, he's a superb player. And by the way, that headed finish, if you haven't seen it, is a worldie. It's an absolute worldie, because there's no pace on that ball, and he's got to generate and really get his neck around that, put it in the corner, top-end player, 2 goals. And the other assist should really go to Kepa Arrizabalaga. It really should. I mean, his assist for the second goal. Absolutely. And by the way, he puts in a great play to get Christensen the red card. I know a lot of people have blamed Christensen. I do not. I blame Kepa there. Kepa puts Christensen on an island, because in that moment, I think Christian realizes is first touch, Mane's around the keeper. It's an easy finish. Kepa stays on his line. Maybe Christensen goes goal side, and hey, Mane probably beats him with a step over or whatever, tucks it in the top corner anyway. But I don't blame Christensen for that red card. I blame Sadio Mane. Brilliant forward play by getting in between the ball and the defender. And he really, I mean, after Kepa had left his defender on an island, and then Mane did the rest. is you've got a difficult choice to make. Is you leave me and it's 1-0 and we play with 11, or you tackle me and that's all she wrote. So credit to Sadio Mane for that red card. Really, really brilliant player, top player. Aubameyang, he's Aubameyang. Probably could have captained somebody else, but Aubameyang's Aubameyang. He's quite brilliant. He's top 2 or 3 strikers in the league. No doubt. Eddie Nketiah, good job coming off the bench to get the Gunners points. Timo Werner, he did his best. But when you got that stooge Jorginho missing penalties, you're not going to get the assist. But Werner's the guy. He'll be the guy going forward. And I think sort of my pick of the season. I had him last season, all season, but he's really, really come on. And now he's got James Rodriguez, he's got Luca Dean, he's got Seamus Coleman, he's got Allen in the midfield. It's a quality side around him now. Calvert-Lewin will get, I believe, somewhere between 18 and 21 goals this season. He is a proper player. Big number 9. And he's got tremendous pace, by the way. He's got tremendous pace. So he's not he's more on the Drogba side of a big man than, I don't know, who is a Jan Koller, if you old like me. He's a big man with pace. And unlike Tammy Abraham, he doesn't have that lightweight body. He's got that stocky body, so he can hold it up and fight defenders off. So Calvert-Lewin, look out for him. Tremendous in the air, as you saw last week. So not this week, but the weekend before, if you haven't checked out Calvert-Lewin's header. It's a great weekend. What does that mean for overall standings? Let's have a look at the top 10. And the only reason I care about the top 10 is because now I'm in it. I've had a great week. I've turned things around. So shout out to No Brain. By the way, that's such a great name, Kelsey Shapiro. So I was on the phone with Kelsey Shapiro's husband, who is Samuel Shapiro. He's in 6th place. I was on the phone with them a little bit earlier, and I questioned, what does Samuel Shapiro actually bring to the marriage? They've just had a baby. So not only has his wife had a baby, she housed the human for 9 months. And what was he doing for 9 months? Not preparing for the season. His wife is well ahead of him. She's the leader. She is the leader. So Kelsey Shapiro on top of the league. But she's had 3 solid seasons of fantasy football in a row. So she's no slouch. Don't you think she's going to turn into your typical mom going to yoga and making that a full-time job? Kelsey Shapiro is fierce, and she's proper. She has embarrassed me last season. I must say, Kelsey embarrassed me. But that is the top 10. So Taryn Billum, listen, T's and P's, thoughts and prayers. I mean, you started strong, Taryn, but sorry, that guillotine came through. That is Kelsey Shapiro. Kelsey on top of things. Listen, I'm not even going to mention the rest of the people. It's just Kelsey, and I'm in 10th place now. That's what's important. Kelsey, I'm after you. But it's all about the winner. There will be a prize for the winner. Only the winner, by the way. I'm not an egalitarian. I'm not listen, this isn't Montessori where everyone gets a prize and we give a hug for mediocrity. Get the hell out of here with that. We want winners and winners only. So there's only one prize. If you win, if there's a tie, by the way, if there is a tie, it'll depend on which team you support. I want to say it now. It'll depend on which team you support. And whichever team I hate the most, you will lose. And people will say, do I have a bit of a God complex? The show is called the MKT Show. If you don't realize by now that my ego is far bigger than my ability and I'm compensating for my insecurities, I don't know what to do with you. So there'll be no coin toss. Please don't expect fairness. This is a full-on dictatorship. I will decide by who does this person support. Spoiler, if you support Man United and you're tie first at the end of the season, hard luck. Second on that list is Tottenham Hotspur. Those are the 2 clubs I despise the most. Third on that list, Liverpool. So if you're in the top 3 of those teams and you happen to win and it's a tie at the end, if you're any of those teams, and I hate those teams, Man United, Tottenham, Liverpool, you'll lose. And yes, it's a dictatorship. And no, I don't care about fairness. So there you have it, folks. Kelsey Shapiro, shout out. Shout out on having a baby and still being able to be better than people at fantasy. Listen, fantasy football is not a joke, people. It's a lifestyle. You're all in or not. Kelsey Shapiro, she wins this week. Great job. But I'm back. Listen, week 2, I'm a slow starter. I'm a late bloomer. And this season, I'm taking it for real. For real. All right, if you listen, be a friend, tell a friend. The more the merrier. Let's have fun. I love the banter. I love it all. So if you want to join, remember MKT Show FPL. Right? MKT Show FPL. And that's where we are. And can you beat me? I am MKT. This is the MKT Show. Right? If you want to just join with the link or the password is all lowercase letters, N, the number 1, IHEH. That's N1IHEH. MKT Show FPL. Be a friend, tell a friend. Spread the love. Let's see how big we can get the group. The more the merrier. Listen, the more people there are, the more people I get to beat, the bigger my ego gets. I've already got a show named after me. I mean, just let's keep fueling it. Let's put fuel on the fire. Remember, like, share, subscribe, be a friend, tell a friend. We are on the YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, the Zuckerberg machine. We are Cliff Central Sport on that. Cliff C Sport on the Twitter machine. Cliff C Sport on the Twitter machine. That's Fantasy Talk. We'll have Fantasy Talk on Friday again. By the way, show tomorrow. So while you celebrate your heritage, don't think I'm taking a day off. Tomorrow, we are here. So join us tomorrow at 7:30. We're going to be doing our thing, the MKT Show, myself and Dave. Hey, who needs a break? Who needs a break? Sport is all the way back. All right, let's get into today's show. Two very similar subjects, but I want to address them separately. And I love saying I told you so. I saw it coming over a couple of seasons. And this should be no surprise. We'll start in the north of London. Again, Dele Alli. Dele Alli's got a problem with his manager. Listen, we all know the guy who's the lazy guy at the office, right? But he's mates with the boss. Maybe he got the job because, I don't know, his mom is friend with the boss. That's how he got the job. He gets to arrive late. He gets to have a hangover on Monday. No problem. He's yakking it up with the boss. A 2-hour coffee every Monday morning, every morning. Plays golf. That's all good and well. It's all good and well to have that. Until your boss changes. And we've all been in this situation. If you've had a job, if you work anywhere, in fact, we've all seen some level of, call it nepotism, whatever it may be. That's all good and well. If you have that nepotism line, carry on. What happens when a new boss comes into town, though? And I've seen these situations over and over and over and over again. Then there's no one to protect you. And then your your fallible nature, your shortcomings are laid to bear. Listen, Dele Alli now, it's the second manager in a row, and there's a pattern. There was problems with Pochettino before, and it was never about talent. It's never about on the pitch. It's when the manager gets demanding, there's pushback from Dele Alli. And we've seen it now. And also, we've seen a lack of self-awareness. Now, I'm afraid I can't forgive you for that. We saw the China coronavirus video. We've seen the Instagram stuff where Tottenham had to reel him in. And I know what people say. It's a new time. Let the kids express themselves. Look here. The NFL and the Premier League have never apologized for one thing. They are corporate leagues. They are not fun sports. First and foremost, it's about the money. Let's get that out the way. It is about the money. It is about nothing else but the money. Everything else is dressing. Let your character come second. So Dele Alli, I'd compare him to a Pogba. I hate to pile on Paul Pogba, but the similarities, right, is the image becomes more important than, hey, what gets you the Instagram follows. If you don't win on the pitch, the Instagram stuff goes away very, very quickly. Very, very quickly. And people like Jose Mourinho's been around the block, folks. He worked at Barcelona with Brian Robson. That's how he got into the game. So he's been around the real Ronaldo, R9. That's the type of guys he was coaching. He coached Guardiola from a young age. He's coached Real Madrid. He's won trebles. So Jose Mourinho doesn't need to mollycoddle anybody. Anybody. And what's great is you're seeing what consistency does. Jose Mourinho everywhere he goes. What happened at Inter Milan to Mario Balotelli? Get the hell out. Jose Mourinho fell out with Cristiano Ronaldo. He doesn't do egos. Mourinho doesn't have an ego. That's who he is. It's my way. Because you know what Mourinho realizes is, if I'm going to get fired, I'm going to get fired my way. This is a Dele Alli problem. This is a real Dele Alli problem. Because with Pochettino, you go, all right, what's Poch one? Maybe Poch doesn't get him. Let the lad express himself. But now it's Mourinho as well. And what do both managers want? Just get serious about football. You can have the rest of the stuff. But if you're not serious about football, it's a non-starter. It's a non-starter. And I think for Dele Alli is the lack of self-awareness. I can't forgive you for that. He's a grown man. You know, that China coronavirus video is Dele. It's about money. It's a corporate league. The Premier League's not about football, right? Football's an afterthought. It's all about the business relationships. When you go and put out statements like he did with the coronavirus statement, and now the Chinese governments have to get involved, that's a problem. And you know what his other problem is? If you don't think Daniel Levy will move off you, now if there's one guy who I've always said the best, well, now becoming the second best owner, but definitely the best general manager of a team, the best chairman of a team, is Daniel Levy. He will cut you. Because Dele Alli is, hey, mate, you were valuable when you were scoring 20 goals in the league, but now, you know what? Production versus tolerance, Dele, is we're having to tolerate more than you're producing, and that Jose Mourinho guys won trebles before. With Poch, maybe we could have said Poch doesn't know how to handle a big player. If you got problems with Mourinho, that's you. Because we've seen Jose Mourinho with taking Mesut Ozil, taking Cristiano Ronaldo, taking Marcelo and improving him, taking Sergio Ramos, improving him, and working with them. Gabby Milito, improving him. Diego Milito, improving him. Samuel Eto'o, getting Samuel Eto'o to play left wing, one of the greatest strikers football has ever seen. Javier Zanetti, submitting and really getting on board. George Costa, one of the great captains of modern day football. We've seen what Mourinho does with players. It's a Dele problem. And Dele's lack of self-awareness, trust me, this is what happens. It happened to Jack Rodwell. We've seen the story before, folks. Dele, you're not as good as you think you are, and you are gone. This is not going to end well for Dele Alli, because also football people talk. And I know the new way, right? New kids want to say, oh, we misunderstood. We're millennials, these old people. That's who's in charge. That's who's in charge. Jose Mourinho doesn't care about what Dele Alli's Instagram following is and how that's going to boost sales. Daniel Levy doesn't care about that. I'll tell you what Daniel Levy cares about. What do HP think? What do Hewlett Packard think? What do the NFL think? They've got to deal with them, right? What do those people think? And when Dele Alli's behaving like he's behaving, and now he's not getting along with his manager, and now he's not producing on the football pitch, there's only one way this is going. And Dele Alli's already shown me, by the way, as far as I'm concerned, I give Dele Alli 2 seasons and he's out of top flight football. So he'll be probably at a top 8, at a Leicester, at a Brighton. That's where he ends up, because I've seen what he is now. When he doesn't have the protection, when he's not the new kid on the block, and there's been some pressure from Pochettino, and now real pressure from Mourinho, not the guy. Still want to be on Instagram, still want to be wearing your earrings, still want to just be, it's about me, I want to express myself. Have some self-awareness. It's not about you. But Dele, it's too late now. This ends so badly for Dele Alli. It ends so badly. And he was a real success story. From the Football League all the way to Tottenham Hotspur. It was one season, he believed in the hype. And Alex Ferguson said it to Rio Ferdinand. Once you start to believe in the hype, you're finished. You are finished. Listen, let's move over to this one. There's a similar but different problem at Chelsea. So let me tell you a story. I have a family member, my aunt. She works in the corporate world, and she has a policy that she's told me about. She doesn't conduct her own interviews. So she's got a little company which has been running nicely for 2 decades. She doesn't conduct her own interviews, and I've asked her why. I'd say to her, that sounds ridiculous to me. What do you mean you don't conduct your own interviews? She says to me, people, once you get emotional or attached to people, she knows she's fallible. We're all fallible. People are charming, they dress nicely, you like the look of them when they move in, and we know how and she said this to me, is we give better looking people can strike us up front as, hey, capable. Someone wears a nice suit, somebody has the same jacket, you like their jacket, you like their hair, you like the smell of their perfume. This can change everything. So she says, I don't do my own interviews because I don't want to be emotionally attached to people I may have to one day fire. And this is such a great thing. Don't become emotionally attached to people you may have to let go in your life. Don't do it. Where there's a transactional relationship, don't become emotionally attached. And this is very difficult for people to understand because we do live in a new time now, right? We live in a world where corporates are being asked to be more socially responsible in trying to understand the psyche of people. Is okay, that's fair. I mean, I don't believe it. I think it's all window dressing because the reality is, let's just get to it. If I have to pay you, it's a transactional relationship. There is a power dynamic. Let's address that. That makes the other stuff more possible. Then who are you as a person becomes more possible. But if we kind of have this thing, there's a psychoanalytical model. Is if you are buddy-buddy with your friend, right, it actually solidifies the power structure. Why? Because if your boss pretends to be your friend, there's actually a limit for you as the employee to be disgruntled because you're like, hey, how can I be disgruntled with this person if they're so nice? But there is a clear hierarchy, right? Is they are still your boss and you are still the worker. And I think Chelsea have that regret now is they got emotional. So my number one rule in life, the more important the decision, the less emotional I want to be about it. And I know, you know what irritates me about people in general? And this is across the board. And I have a friend in particular who always comes and complains to me, and I have to always talk her off the ledge. She's such an emotional person. Oh, I've met a guy. Oh, I bought a new watch because I was getting emotional. She bought a house, by the way. She bought a flat in the most ridiculous place for the most ridiculous price out of emotion. But my rule is this. The more important a decision, the less emotional you must be. So if you're going to be in a relationship with somebody, I think that's the most important decision you can make in life. Who are you in a relationship with? No emotion. Walk away, right? In your own space. What are the pros and cons? What's that person's shortcomings? What are my shortcomings? When we put those two in the same house, is that going to work short term, long term? These are things that are really, really important, is take your emotions out of your decision making. If it's not an important purchase, red or green grapes, who cares? Don't worry about it. Make your emotions. Oh, I'm feeling green grapes today. Great, go and do that. Where should I move to, I don't know, America for my job? Maybe sit down, think about it. I'm a list guy. Every decision I make when it's important, trust me, I have lists, pros and cons, right? My cons, which I have many of, pros of the job, cons of the job, written down. I play it off against each other, and I do columns. Chelsea made a huge mistake with Callum Hudson-Odoi, and they need to admit that now. Because you know what Callum Hudson-Odoi is? He's the guy who pitched up at the interview. Perfect haircut. Looks good. The resume looks good. He's been fired 3 times, but okay, he looks good. He speaks well in the interview. And you know what's happened is Frank Lampard got to interview the person he may have to fire. And Frank Lampard's unable to say right now, I was wrong. Why? Odoi is one of the Chelsea kids. Odoi is a Lampard decision. If Lampard has to let Callum Hudson-Odoi go, people go, oh no, you're giving up on the Chelsea kids. It's an emotional decision. This is where Fergie was brilliant. This is where Carlo Ancelotti's been brilliant. Right? This is where Mourinho is better than anybody else. Fergie and Mourinho are the best I've seen in the English Premier League. This is where Wenger failed. Don't get emotionally attached to your players. Callum Hudson-Odoi, as soon as he got paid, what was the first story that came out about him? In a pandemic, he's with an Instagram model in Paris. What do I do about that? £180,000 a week. That's the first thing that happened. Listen, money doesn't change people. Money makes you more of who you are. As soon as Chelsea saw that, move off. Like, why are people so bad at moving on in life? Folks, when people show you who they are, believe them the first time. Callum Hudson-Odoi showed you what he is. And now reports are coming out, oh, there's problems off the field. And it's not just Frank Lampard. What happened with Maurizio Sarri? He wouldn't play him. There was problems at training, late for training, attitude. Big time Charlie, they call it in England. And Frank Lampard now seems... listen, if Bayern Munich are coming in, Frank, cut your losses. You got him under contract. If they say £50 million, sell him. Because I tell you what happens. If you enable Callum Hudson-Odoi now, that this poor behavior that's going on now is going to be acceptable moving forward, when he turns 24, 25, you're going to have a different monster on your hands. A completely different monster. What you got to do is this. It's unacceptable. Because when you cut Callum Hudson-Odoi, you know what you're saying to the other kids? Tammy Abraham, Mason Mount. We don't care that you're a Chelsea kid. You're late. Instagram models in Paris in a pandemic. Instagram lifestyle. Because Callum Hudson-Odoi, I'm seeing a lot of that. I don't like it. Self-awareness. Self-awareness, people. I don't care that he's 19. Self-awareness. That matters. It's a corporate. Chelsea's corporate. Premier League's corporate. England's corporate. Callum Hudson-Odoi. Me. Let him go. Listen. Stop making decisions with your heart, people. And I know it sounds lovely because we all want to be kind and nice and be able to go on Twitter and have people hashtag with us. Hashtag I'm with you. Stop. There's a real world. There's a real world. In the real world, we make real decisions up here. And if Lampard doesn't do it, I tell you what the rest of the squad says. Hey, this guy's always late. Right? It's like the guy who's friends with the boss. Eventually, that's going to erode other people. Hey, I'm always on time. I'm always making up for this guy's work. He's always coming in with hangovers on Monday. I'm doing the work. Hudson-Odoi, always late. But then he gets picked for the team. What do you think Havertz is going to say? What do you think Werner's going to say to that? What do you think Chilwell's going to say to that? Suffer now, happy later. Callum Hudson-Odoi, if I'm Frank Lampard, it's enough now. Because Chelsea had a problem before. He was making all sorts of problems to get his contract. Fine, you got your money. Why are we still having problems now? It can't just be Lampard because Surrey had the same problems. You got your money. So what else is the problem now? Why aren't you focusing just on football? Why is off-the-field stuff still coming up after you got your money? Money doesn't change anybody. It makes them more of who they are. Callum Hudson-Odoi, Frank Lampard, stop thinking with your heart. Make the right decision and cut him now. Otherwise, you're in trouble because that's going to become cancerous in the dressing room. That's my thoughts. 2 players, Dele Alli and Hudson-Odoi. I'm out already now. I don't care about talent. I've always said it. And I'll keep saying it. It's the same gospel. System over talent. I don't care about talented people. I know lots of talented people. Do you know what I don't know? It's hardworking people. I know very, very few. I happen to work with one, David LaRue, very hardworking guy. But I don't care about talent. I'm sorry. I'm not impressed by talented people. I tell you what, stick around me for 12 months and I'll see who you are. And then I can say, all right, hard work will always beat talent. Consistency. And I always say this, and I'm going to say it again. I don't like working with people under the age of 30. I'm 34 now. Because they're erratic. And this is what Hudson-Odoi is showing. Me. Lack of self-awareness. Sorry. I don't care about talent. Get the hell out of here. Can you work? Are you going to be on time? Can I rely on you? I take a 7 out of 10 person every day from a person who's a 9, 3, 10, 1. Give me 7 out of 10. That's why I like people over 30. They're more comfortable with who they are. I don't care if your boyfriend or girlfriend dumped you. Pitch up at work. Do your job. I don't care if an Instagram model is getting hold of you, Hudson-Odoi. Shut them out. Do your job. Your job is to be a footballer, not an Instagram icon. And if he's starting now and that behavior is being enabled now, my God, the monster that's coming down the road, imagine the next contract. Folks, there's a reason you train a puppy while it's small. Hey, pee inside? We don't do that. While it's small. Because once you got the pit bull, and I made this mistake as a youngster, so this is a real life example. My pit bull was a mess. He was peeing and chewing up carpets and, oh my God, great dog. But my God, I should have trained him early. You get him early. That's when you do it. What is the old adage? Give me the child for the first 7 years and I'll give you back the man. You enable Hudson-Odoi now, you have a mess on your hands in 5 years. Chelsea, cut him now. Lampard, if you want to keep your job, let's start now. Winning's a habit. Winning's a habit. Those are my thoughts. Love to know what people think. Dele Alli, Hudson-Odoi. I'm saying it now and I won't change. I'm out on both players. I've been out on Dele Alli for 2 seasons, by the way. As soon as Pochettino had a problem, I had a problem. I love Pochettino. He's all football, all the time. I love people that take their job seriously. The character stuff, I like that to be a sprinkling on top. It's not the cake, right? The character, the stuff off the field, that's a bonus when you're a beast on the pitch. There's a reason Cristiano Ronaldo's the guy. Because he takes football seriously. Leo Messi, football seriously. Zlatan Ibrahimovic, as much as people may say he's eccentric, football seriously. Samuel Eto'o, football seriously. Right? Kevin De Bruyne, football seriously. These guys, where I'm hearing about off the field stuff. Different time. Love to hear what you think. Coming up, Q&A, folks. Looking forward to that. And we are back. Hey, Dave, let's get straight into it, man. Tomorrow is Heritage Day or whatever people are calling it. South Africans need a break. We work too hard in this country. Unbelievable. Like another public holiday. Senzo Sitebe says, well, I'd rather be in Chelsea's boat than the situation we find ourselves in. We don't have CBs. What Lindelof and Maguire are providing is laughable at best. And Senzo is a Manchester United supporter, clearly, from that. Yeah, I'd probably rather be in Chelsea's position as well, because less money spent over the last 2 years. And you've got to say, they've probably got the leverage of, we've got a young team, and they've got a manager that everybody, it's like, oh my gosh, you made top 4 with that? So we'll probably Lampard gets a little bit more leverage, even though I don't really like that, but he'll probably get this season to sort of bed everybody in. But the situation at Manchester United, I mean, my God, what is going on there? And these aren't cheap defenders either. Lindelof's 30 million, Bailly's 30 million. At the time, you talk of a 17 million pound Phil Jones. At the time, he was 18. Back then, that was a fortune. An absolute fortune. So they have spent money in that region. Oh, you know what doesn't help? Is that David De Gea has also slid at the same time as them. You know, a goalkeeper, as we said, we had Bafana goalkeeper Darren Keats come on, and it's a 50-50 relationship. Is that these defenders are struggling, and so is the keeper. So it's a compounded problem. You probably need, my God, you need to find a Vidic. You need to find a Vidic. And I'm afraid Harry Maguire has a nice story. But you know why in horse racing, sport that I really, really love, there's a reason why people will pay to breed with the correct horse after it retires, up to $100,000 per breeding session. And by the way, you can breed a horse about 100 times a year. So just keep in mind, $100,000 for something, a stud, a proper stud. There's a reason. It's called pedigree. And Maguire's being exposed now. You are what you are. You can't learn things that he should have learned at a proper football school. Like the nice talent, you know, the underdog at Leicester thing. When we really focus in the light. is what's the pedigree like? Remember, under pressure, we fall back to our sort of natural character and our natural ability. And Maguire's under the most intense pressure in England. It is the biggest global brand. Maybe not the biggest football club in the world, but that's a different conversation. But at Man United, you turn the heat right up. There's no room to hide. At Leicester, when you make mistakes and, a goal slips and you go, oh, well, he's had a great season. At Manchester United, we had Nemanja Vidic. We had Gary Pallister. We had Steve Bruce. So for us, winning titles is a bad season. At Manchester United, you win the league title. Anyone who's my age is, oh, okay, well, that's a given. What else did you do? So Alex Ferguson didn't celebrate titles. I mean, there was a beautiful passage in Rio Ferdinand's book where he said the strength of Man United's team, it was in Fergie's book. He said the strength of his best teams, and it was Rio Ferdinand who would do it the most. As soon as they'd won a league title, Scholes, Ferdinand, and Giggs were in the manager's office straight after the day of winning the title. Is who we signing next? Not we're celebrating. Is who we signing next? So this Man United thing's a problem because Maguire's not the guy. Like, he's not it. He's not it. You need pedigree. I've seen what I've seen, and I think it's enough. Because I'm old. I saw Nemanja Vidic. I saw that with my own eyes. I was like, oh, that's what the real deal looks like. That's how you win 3 Premier League titles in a row. Nemanja Vidic was the best player in the Premier League at centre-back for 2 years. 2 years running. Nobody can deny that. Nobody hates Manchester United more than I do. But when things are true, they are true. Anybody who dares to tell me that Harry Maguire is a Manchester United level defender, be honest. Like, let's be honest now. Because you know what greatness is? Greatness isn't what do you do when things are going well. The great thing about Nemanja Vidic is put whoever you want next to me. Rio Ferdinand was a mistake machine. I don't care what anybody says. Yes, he was tremendous. He could play out from the back. By English standards, he was really a Sergio Ramos-like player. Unlike Sergio Ramos, though, the mistakes Rio Ferdinand used to make. But don't worry about it. Nemanja Vidic said, don't worry about it. You make all the mistakes you can. But Rio, hey, you're athletic. You're a great passer from the back. So you give us that dimension. Yeah, all these mistakes, don't worry about it. I'm here. I'm always in the right place. John Terry, always in the right place. Oh, don't worry about it. Vincent Kompany, always in the right place. Thiago Silva at his peak. I mean, he had David Luiz as his partner, so I don't need to say anything more. But Thiago Silva is still arguably the greatest defender maybe Brazil have had in the modern era. I mean, Lucio you could argue for, but I think Thiago Silva is a better ball player. So, folks, you are what you are at Man United at the moment. Chelsea are in a far better situation. Far better. There's more room to grow. There's more room to grow for Chelsea. Like, Maguire's, 30 now? Oof. What a scene. And Lindelof is what he is now. You've seen a season and a half mistake machine. Jesse Randallhoff says, Kepa has to be the biggest waste of money. No Chelsea fan can talk to us about Pepe being a flop. Hey, fair banter. The only problem for you there, Jesse Randallhoff, and I'm not saying it just as a Chelsea fan, is unfortunately it's a team sport. So even with the calamity, right? Even with the calamity of Kepa Arrizabalaga's performance, is he came tied third in the Premier League. It's a team sport. Pepe for 73 million. Plus, Pepe has a bigger effect than a goalkeeper, by the way. For 73 million pounds, how have we gone backwards? Right? Arsenal the season before finished 6th. Then they finished 8th with Pepe as an investment. So, Kepa Arrizabalaga will tell you, we finished tied 3rd. You finished 8th. That's what my counter would be if, as a Chelsea fan. It's like, you can say Kepa's a waste of money, but yeah, still finished top 4. Pepe, what did you do? Finished 8th. Took the club backwards after they invested 72 mil. So that's awkward. I don't think Arsenal fans can win that one because as somebody who's up front, who's supposed to score more goals, who's supposed to propel the club forward when they invest 70 million pounds in you, as much of a disaster Kepa as Kepa is Chelsea are top 4 and Arsenal are not. That would be my reply. But fair banter. Kepa Arrizabalaga, I want to be clear. He's the worst keeper in the Premier League. He's certainly the worst. Do you know he's conceded 8% of all Chelsea goals in Premier League history alone in one season. Just last season, he conceded 8% of all Chelsea goals that they've ever conceded in the Premier League. How insane is that? That's what, 1992 to make it 28 years. In one season, he took up 8% chunk of that. Unbelievable. Worst keeper in the league, but I don't know if he's a bigger flop than Pepe. Pepe did nothing last season. I'm sorry. There's a settling in season, and then there's what he had. If Pepe doesn't get 15 goals and 10 assists this season, it's a bit. Kepa at least took Chelsea to winning the Europa League title. He'll tell you that as a co-manager with Maurizio Sarri. So there's that. Ryan Alex Ferreira says, let's please get Poch in then. I'm hurtful of the lack of intensity. We spoke about this yesterday. In my opinion, there was a question where, do I think Poch will make a difference at Manchester United over with the squad that Oli has now? And I said, absolutely. Because at least with Poch, I know what I'm getting. Immediately at Southampton, Tottenham, you saw exactly what was happening. Organized intensity and standards and expectations. With Oli, you're not sure what you're getting. What are United? A counter-attacking team? Are they a defensive team? Are they a ball possession team? Are they playing off the 10? Are they playing off a 6? Is Pogba a regista? Is he a number 8? Is he box to box? Who's the leader? Folks, every single company that's great in the world, and that's what sports teams are no different. They are companies. Everybody has to know their role. I don't care what sport you're in, what company you're in, who's the CFO, who's the COO, and who's our chief marketing officer, who's the CMO. People have to know their roles. At Man United, it just, I don't know what's going on with Oli, and it's Man United. You kind of need to have a brashness about you. We are the best. We will not apologize for that, and we will trample on anybody who opposes that, including referees. Fergie time. That's emotional bullying of referees. If you're not a Man United fan, you hate that. If you're a Man United fan, you expect that. You don't expect Oli trying to fight with the English managers now. Pull Greenwood out of the England squad then, and let them deal with you as Manchester United. See what the FA are going to do to Man United. That's what Fergie would do. Isn't it amazing how Scholes always had these mystery hamstring injuries? Giggs would get mystery hamstring injuries in international breaks. It happened one too many times, I'm afraid. David Beckham just had one too many hamstring injuries in the middle of a season, especially that December period just after that international break. And it's amazing how 6 or 7 of the stars would just have those tight hamstrings and they had to pull out. And I'm sure England had a word to say, and Sir Alex Ferguson gave them the middle finger, I'm pretty sure. Like, Oli, you got to be that. You're at Man United now. Come on now. So I think that Poch is more of a Man United manager than Oli. In my opinion, perhaps I don't see Man United in the light they're in. What is Oli? Man United fans, I'm happy to hear from you. Folks, true bliss is knowing what you are, accept who you are, and live that out. But Man United, they're acting like they're wolves, just happy to be here. Incredible. Rikke Swart says, Ngiti was hit for 26 runs in 2 balls today. It has to be some kind of record. 4 sixes, 2 no balls. So, number one, for those who don't know, so it's a bit of a tricky one for me, and I did catch a bit of heat before, is we do share an alumnus, Lungi Ngiti and I. So I just want to be clear on that. I caught some heat on the sort of old boys group. I got 2 emails last time I addressed his weight situation. But whatever, I'm not a politician. We went to the same school, and there should be some loyalty. Get the hell out of here with that. I'm out on Ngiti because if you're overweight and you're a sportsman, I'm out on you. I don't care. Anybody who is a sportsman, right? If you're a single mom with 2 kids and you're overweight, whatever. Like, that's life. Whatever. If you're a common citizen and you're overweight, different problem, not my problem. If you're a sportsman and overweight, I'm sorry. There's no room for excuses, and I'm out. I don't care how talented you are. So Lungi Ngiti to me isn't serious about sport. So whatever. Like, I'm not surprised at that. To me, people tell me he's a good bowler. It's like, no, he's overweight. I'm not interested in a conversation past that. It's unacceptable to be overweight and be a sportsman. It's unacceptable to me. So no surprise, because he's not serious about cricket or sport. So good for him. He's getting what he wants. What we got, Dave? The Rig says, is there a place in today's game for bowlers who can't bat? Murali was a great, but from another era. Look at Cummins, Stark, Archer, Holding, Rabada, Philander. Do the likes of Tahir need to improve? My immediate answer is, it depends how good of a bowler you are. It depends on how good of a bowler you are. So, Dave, please put that list up again. So I'd probably need to see a list of who the bowlers are. So Murali, is it okay if you can't bat? You got 800 test wickets. Absolutely. Cummins, even if he couldn't bat, you probably the best fast bowler in the world right now. Mitchell Stark, you for 2 or 3 years, you're the best fast bowler in the world. Don't care if you can bat. Jofra Archer, you do need to be able to bat because you're not consistent. So for somebody like Archer, I need you to be able to bat, and he's not too bad at the bat. Holding, well, my goodness. You know what? When you're Michael Holding great is don't even pitch for practice. Folks, be who you can afford to be. That's life. That's not just sport. Know who you are and know how good you are. Kagiso Rabada, top 3 best bowlers in the world. And all of these can bat, by the way. So Tahir doesn't need to improve because, hey, Tahir was maybe the best spinner in world cricket in the one-day format for 2 seasons. So no, it depends how good you are as a bowler. Right? It depends how much you give me with the ball is how much can I tolerate. So production tolerance, again, is if you're going to be, let's say as a fast bowler, because I only watch test cricket, if you're going to average 24, 25 with the ball and you have a strike rate of 62, I don't care what you do with the bat. So no, I think there's still room, but you can probably only have one who can't bat in today's game. At least hold the bat. But if you Imran Tahir, good. I'm afraid I don't care because what I get with the ball is match changing. I mean, 2 out of 10 cricket matches, Tahir will influence. He's an electrifying figure. And you know what's great about a figure like Tahir? This is not applicable for everybody. He is so unique. You know, you've seen the helicopter celebration, the airplane celebration, that ignites everybody. So I'll tolerate you can't bat for the great bowling. And then you also ignite the team. Every time he takes a wicket, the team's on fire. People are fired up. So special cases, I would say case by case is my answer. Production tolerance. Are you a great bowler? Don't care about your batting. Are you a good bowler? Learn to bat. Learn to bat. But I don't want 11 all-rounders. I still want specialists, by the way. To be clear. I must be clear. I'm a test person. I like a 6-4 split. Keeper batting 7. I like specialist bowlers. I don't want my bowlers to have to get I don't want my bowlers to have to get better at batting. If it's natural, cool. If not, I don't care. I want 4 specialist bowlers. That's what you're focusing on. What we got, Dave? Lulama Kubaka says, you're speaking about being a slow starter. What do you think of the Heat's slow start every game? You know what it is that they're really well coached. Spolstra's a great coach. Right, the Miami organization's really, really well run, and I think that's going to happen. Right, is you know what they are? Is they really they're fundamentals, and fundamental teams aren't always going to chase the game. Is what they rely on is you'll make mistakes and we'll counter. And what's Miami done to get here? Is you make mistakes, Jimmy Butler will do what he has to, whether he gets 13 points or he gets 45 points. Doesn't matter. Is I'll do what I have to for my team, and you know what? Generally in all sport. Generally well-coached teams in ball sports, it's more about defense and will break you down, will wear you down, rather than will be aggressive. That's generally what well-coached teams are. And they don't really have an over-the-top star, so they can't really attack the game. They'd rather suffocate you, right? They'd rather suffocate you. Fundamental, they switch. I mean, you got probably of the 5 starters, you got 4 who can switch. And then you got Jimmy Buckets for that intensity. So they wear you down. They wear you down. So I think that's our approach. We're going to stick to it, and we're not gonna be drawn out of our way trying to get into a shoot off with you. That's not their game. They don't have 3 like guys that are gonna go nuts like Jamal Murray from the 3. What's Spolstra's thing always been? Even with LeBron, Bosch, and D Wade, defense and intensity. Even with superstars, he's always been like that. Pat Rice. right? Pat Rice now, he is a Hall of Fame administrator. You got to give him the credit. Spoelstra knows how to coach, folks. Spoelstra knows how to coach. Fundamental basketball. You got to trust the guy next to you. And listen, get 4 guys on even Golden State have struggled with this, because what's the reality with Golden State? They've still got to hide Steph Curry. And he's the greatest shooter of all time. Nobody has to hide it with Miami. We'll wear you down. We well coached. And if you think you're as good as you are, let's see it. And let's see it for 4 quarters. And what's generally happened is eventually it's like, damn it. They're defending the 3 well. They're defending and low down on the block. You're not going to bully them because of the intensity. Jimmy Butler has got that team fired up. Is no easy points. And if you're going to get in the paint, we're going to get an elbow in your throat. Right? That's Jimmy Butler. And that's Spoelstra. Hard nose. So I think the starting slow is just a part of being fundamentally sound and will wear you down. And I love it, by the way. I love it. Max Myrtle, not picked, says Tahir. Sorry, Max Myrtle says Tahir not picked for both CSK games, and Ngidi picked over him. What a crying shame. Ngidi has not looked good, although he does look slimmer. So I've got to be honest. I don't watch T20 cricket. And it's tough in India, right? Where they're playing this in Dubai. Is that generally those Dubai pitches are drop-in pitches, by the way, so they tend to be as flat as you like. But the small grounds, generally IPL, my issue is it's not about skill. It's about how many runs can either team make. So for me, it's tough to pick a spinner. Who's the other CSK spinner? To be honest, I don't care about IPL. I don't care about T20 cricket. But my question becomes, who's the other? I see it's Jadeja. Well, that's why he's not getting in the team, because he's number 1 Indian. So probably one of the home players. Not too sure where Jadeja's from. I think he's one of the local players at CSK. So tough to drop him for another spinner. But then it's tough to have. Listen, you can't play 2 spinners in IPL cricket because they fetch. Tahir's special, but I think he's a better bowler in the 50 over. And actually, Tahir's, he's a brilliant, just limited overs cricketer. I think Tahir's strength is that he's such an attacking bowler. If you're going to go with 2 spinners, you've got to drop Jadeja then. So Tahir was the leading wicket taker last season, I'm seeing. But here's Tahir's thing, is he's going to go for runs. Number 1, leg spinners always go for runs. It's tough to be accurate and be a leg spinner. But number 2 is Tahir's such an aggressive bowler are you willing to swallow 8.5, 9 and over because he's going to create 6 or 7 chances that Jadeja probably isn't. And then he can't bat as well. And what really wins it for you is the batting. So, tough one. And the Lungi Ngidi thing, whatever. I'm out on Ngidi. So, I'm never going to pick him over anybody. I don't think he's it. Sorry. If you can't stay fit, if you can't at least be fit, I will not take you seriously. Rika Swart says, who are you backing to be our next Test cricket captain since de Kock has made himself unavailable? Greatest news South Africa's ever had. Folks, we've got the template. Markram. But as South African watching public, remember, as fans, we are savages. Is there a more savage? I mean, imagine being a Springbok player or a Proteas player. South African fans are savages. But like we did with Graham Smith, right? And let's go with the All Black model. What do they do with their captain? Richie McCaw is the best example. And we actually did well with Graham Smith. Who's our best player? Markram. That's not close. I don't want to hear arguments. Markram's our best player. Pure talent. There's nothing like Markram, right? And he's not an opener, by the way. Let's stop messing him around, please. We made that mistake with AB de Villiers for far too long. He's not a Test opener. Let's get him at 3 or 4. I'd like him at 4. Protect your best batsman. I think Hamza should be at 3. Markram's the guy. But what do? Is, hey, Colin, you are our guy. We wrap him in cotton wool like the All Blacks did to Richie McCaw. And I don't care what Markram does. He can do no wrong. He is our captain. And then we say, Markram, you lead the team from here. Create the team culture, right? All the cricket stuff in the change room, run it. Colin, it's on you. We will back you. What do you need? Right? And then you give him 2 or 3 years to establish and weed out the guys. Like we saw what happened. Remember what happened with Graham Smith at the beginning? We saw Lance Klusener had to go. Remember, he had a fallout with Klusener. I think, was it Darryl Cullinan? There was another, there was somebody else who was unhappy because Smith came in, this firebrand, and Smith was protected, right? The coaching and CSA cricket backed him as a 22-year-old. Remember when we went to Australia and the media, we backed Smith. So Markram, this one's not even a question. Markram's our best player. He's a natural leader as well. You can see he's the guy that all gravitate towards him. And then we say, Colin, you got 5 years where you're untouchable, you're undroppable. Create the dressing room culture and we will follow. We'll take care of all the other stuff. We'll deal with the politicians. We'll deal with the outside noise. Your job is focus on batting and focus on being the captain. And even more so, don't even worry about the batting. Don't even worry about that. Worry about creating the culture. Right? That's your job. You're the captain, lead. And by the way, if anybody's not following Markram's lead, out. We back him to the hilt. There's no half-half. We back Markram now to the hilt. If Markram comes and says, dictatorship in there. If Markram comes and says, hey, this guy's not one of the boys, he's not fitting into the team culture, this isn't Montessori. This is where, listen, love or hate Graham Smith, I loved him for this, not Montessori. Get the hell out if you don't want to win. Get the hell out if you're not going to be with the culture. And if it's, listen, we're inside dressing rooms. I've been inside dressing rooms. I don't want to hear hashtag conscious and hashtag, oh my goodness, people are being bullied. It's hard to win. We're going to create and if it's a boys club, it's a boys club. If it's a boys club, it's a boys club. We let it go that way. Are you going to win? Now, Colin, get it done. Do you know what we need to do? Is give Markram no excuse to not be successful. Colin, give us the 3 things you need over 5 years to create a winning culture. Here they are. Now you got no excuses. Hope I've made it clear. I'm in on Markram and I absolutely love him. And by the way, just to be clear, I only care about Test cricket. So please don't talk to me about one-day cricket. Don't talk to me about T20 cricket. I don't care about those. To me, as any of those captains, you can make my dead grandmother captain. I wouldn't care. Because that's not real cricket. But our Test team, Markram, please. He's our best player. By the way, you can't play Test cricket. You're not a real cricketer. So I absolutely love Markram. Shimi Murukure says, anything you got to tell us about why Teles is the wrong potential signing for United? I'll tell you why. Folks, let me put it this way. Here's something everybody understands. And I can only speak from the perspective of a man. So I don't want to speak for women. Please, I don't want anyone saying, oh, not all people are like that. I'm just speaking from the perspective of a man. If you have a partner and you pursue them and they reject you, and then you get a girlfriend that wasn't your first choice, it's never the same. The reason this doesn't work is he wasn't their first choice. We know that. We know that. They wanted Regulon. And who they really want is another guy who just can't stop eating hamburgers, is Luke Shaw, to stay fit and take football seriously. Let's just be serious about life. And I can speak from, I'm a man, all I know is my world. I was raised how I was raised. I am who I am. When things are not my first choice, particularly in relationships, and that's what this is. Man United, this isn't their first choice. What does that mean? Is you're not going to get the quality. You can't demand the same of them. All right, listen, I may be wrong. I don't know what people say out there. But if you pursue a lady or a guy and they are your first choice and they choose somebody else, you often what? You're settling. And when you have to settle in life, it always goes badly. Name a time in life when people have settled and it's gone well. Just think about it in your own personal space, whether it's with your job, whether it's with your partner. Whenever I've had to settle for things, it's why I love my job now. I didn't have to settle. It's a dream job. It's a dream job. But I've had girlfriends or partners where I've settled and it's like, she drinks a bit too much. But it's okay. She's beautiful. Red light. So they're probably thought to themselves, he doesn't have the pace. And let's say he doesn't have the technical ability that we really want for somebody to get forward and be an Andy Robertson type. But hey, at least he defends well. It's kind of like if you have your girlfriend and you know what? She's not as committed or as educated as I usually like, and she leaves the socks on the floor. But hey, at least she's here. That's not a relationship I want to be in. First choice. I always like first choice. And Man United should not be picking off the second shelf. You should never be taking the girl that's rejected 3 other people to pick you. That's not it. Folks, apex creatures. Listen, I'm an ego animal. Man United should be an ego animal. You should be bullying everyone out. It should be extremely concerning. So for me, that's why, listen, it doesn't even matter what he is. It's the things that he isn't, why he shouldn't be at Man United. Because it's clear they were chasing other targets and they didn't get them. And that should be far more worrying for Man United than what he is as a player. So that's my reasoning. It's not Man United's first choice. And that's a problem in life in general. Viewers want to know who the hell Colin is. I don't know which Colin you're talking about. Are you talking about Colin Cowherd? Which Colin are you? Yeah, it could be Colin. Colin Markham. It's what did I mean there? What is Markram's first name? I keep forgetting. Anyway, we know who which Markram I'm talking about. Aidan Markram. Dave, what we got next? Max Myrtle. Short calls on a run, when it comes down to a tie and the umpire called it wrong in full confidence, costs a lot loss in the end, right? Costs a loss in the end, sorry. Should they use tech, and why aren't they? By the way, I think Max is probably referring, if you haven't seen this mess, we live in South Africa, it's a gemors. This is a heeltemal gemors. That was Dhoni, was it Dhoni's team or against him? Anyway, this, I saw today. You know, if you've been watching this show for a long time, I've been saying cricket and rugby are so amateur. It makes no sense to me in that situation because you've got the technology. So now this is my problem with VAR in football and the VAR in cricket. They haven't figured it out yet. Is if you've got the tech for something this important, I don't care about having referrals and not having referrals. Is that something you can check? That is an absolute decision, right? Is his bat was either over the line for the short run or it isn't, right? And then it's all about, do they have referrals left? Now it's all about an LBW decision. Oh my God, it's a mess. Why are there so many factors in making that decision? I thought VAR was to give us simplicity, not complicate things. Folks, anybody who's in systems, I have a good friend who's an econometrist. In fact, he asked the question just now. He'll tell you, if you're in economic stats, systems are meant to make things simpler, not more complicated. If a system makes things more complicated, the system's terrible. The system's terrible. It's so stupid. The technology should be simplifying things, not amplifying the problems. And if it's still amplifying the problems, right, which it is, get rid of it till it's ready. Because the old system's simpler. Like, oh, okay, we're not sure, let's go upstairs, is what they would have done in the past. Go to the third umpire. We don't have to worry about LBW. Was it out? Are they out of referrals? So use the tech, man. But cricket's amateur. Anyway, I'll keep saying this. The administration in cricket is, I keep saying spaza shops. I must actually start respecting people that work for spaza shops, because nobody in the world is better with money than poor people, right? So spaza shop owners, I apologize for using you as the low bar. You're actually a high bar. It's a shambles. I should say it's run like the CSA. Maybe that's a better one. Or like it's a bunch of politicians in South Africa. It's a mess. Absolute gemors. Rika Swart says, I think Eric Bailly can provide some stability at the back. However, he's too injury prone. Rikas, I have to agree with you there. His playing ability is not the problem. But Rikas, I might argue and say this with you. Availability is the greatest ability. I don't care how good you are. If you're not available, it means nothing to me. So we can't even we can't even extrapolate his value or ability. We don't see him enough. So the Bailly thing's a mess because, he is what he is. He's injury prone now. And Man United pushed the ejector button. It's enough. I don't know how much you need to see. And by the way, I will say this. Man United fans may need to swallow this difficult pill. Push the button on Luke Shaw. He's injury prone now. You've seen enough. Arsenal fans, I said it at the beginning. You may remember at the beginning of or the end of last season. I said my one concern with Tierney. My one concern, I think it was Jesse Randolph who said, what do I think about Tierney? It's not the ability I'm worried about. And what have I said to you? Injured young is injured old. If you're injured young, you're going to be injured your whole life. Sorry. Paul Pogba, same problem. Injured young is injured old. That doesn't get better. So push the ejector button. I'm afraid availability is the greatest ability. Lulama says, any comments on the potential loan move for Rudiger? I think great. I think he's probably hasn't worked out, and now they've got Thiago Silva to fill in for experience. I think, listen, you don't need too many people around. Trim the fat. And what it means is great news. You don't stand in the way of Tomori. So Tomori is the cup centre-back and the guy to come in when things go wrong. And you're probably going to need to rotate Thiago Silva. He's got granddad legs. He's 36. It's the Premier League, not not Liga E, where you've won it basically after 15 games if you're PSG and you're trotting around. 99% of the games are really a kick in the park, the Farmers League. So delighted because I think Tomori is the next guy. Of all the Chelsea kids, Tomori's my favorite. I think he's the best of the Chelsea kids, to be honest with you. So great news. Rudiger, thanks for the services. And by the way, thanks for getting Havertz and Werner to sign with Chelsea. But it's time to go. He's been too mistake prone. It just hasn't worked. Lulama Kawaga says, United is like a company that has been choosing the wrong type of CEO. I think that's the best statement I've probably heard to assess Manchester United. I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that. You know, in anything you do in life, and I'm so grateful because I can use a real life example. I always use real life examples. I was, to anybody who knows me out there, I was an erratic and troublesome child and I still am, by the way. But I always had a strong leader in my mother. So even when things were going horribly awry, I always knew there was somewhere to go back to. Leadership is everything. Leadership is, I don't care how brilliant you are, how much talent you have, how much organization, families. I don't care how talented you are. Nothing works with chaos. And the only way to avoid chaos is strong leadership. You have to have strong leadership. Is direction, we are going there, and anybody who's not on board, get the hell off the ship. Right? There's a tremendous saying. Folks, we don't play to the scoreboard. So we don't care what people are saying and what they call extrinsic factors. We play to a standard. That's what great companies do. Well, Elon Musk doesn't care whether you like him or not. Do you know what he cares about? Is 3 or 4 core engineers, the geniuses in his company. Steve Jobs. I mean, is there maybe a more putrid human being that's existed in terms of you have to like me? No. But he built what is the greatest technology company of this era. Mark Zuckerberg, we're getting to learn about him. Doesn't seem like he's the nicest guy. He's constantly in court. Bill Gates, how much time has he spent in court for some salacious things? But folks, strong leadership that is the direction. It is non-negotiable. And by the way, first and foremost, standards. Standards. What are the standards? What are the non-negotiables? And at Man United, it seems like, hey, if you're Luke Shaw, I said this to a lot of my friends when Luke Shaw arrived at Manchester United. He arrived overweight at Manchester United. And I said then, and this is not hindsight, problems. Because what it tells me is, the standards are low. It's like, it's okay that we'll accept that he's overweight because he's a good player. That's impossible under Fergie. Folks, Alex Ferguson sold David Beckham at his peak. He sold Joop Stam, the best defender in the world at the time, at his peak. Why? Fergie and the greatest football administrator of all time, right? David Gill, the greatest football administrator in British football of all time. Standards. Joop Stam, too big. Get the hell out. Ruud van Nistelrooy, you're the best fox-in-the-box striker, maybe of your generation, arguably with David Trezeguet. At your peak, get the hell out. Why? System over talent. Ed Woodward is all over the place. Paul Pogba on Instagram going nuts, constantly injured, but he's dapping it up on holiday. Tighten it up. Folks, have you ever heard so much noise coming out of Manchester United? Wasn't that their trick? It was always Man United is you never hear anything. What? They've signed Juan Sebastian Veron? What the hell? Who the hell's Nemanja Vidic? You've just won the title and you're getting, who's Cristiano Ronaldo? You're winning title after title, and before I know it, you've signed Rio Ferdinand for a world record sum. Why wasn't that in the papers? Wasn't that always United's secret? No noise out of the dressing room, and before you know it, they've made 2 or 3 signings, and they've Patrice Evra in the middle of the season. Who? How? David Gill's how? Standards is how. So I totally agree, and no matter where you are across the board, and it's a brutal thing to actually have to admit, because we do live in a time where things like soft power are expressed, and there's different ways to lead. Listen, there's no special way to have standards. And I don't care how much money you've got and how much talent you've got. You know what? I think Man United made the same mistake that BlackBerry made, that Kodak made, that Nokia made. They've made the mistake of, we're the biggest, so we'll continue to be the best. And you know what Man City and Chelsea have showed you is, no. If you are the best, you can be the biggest. Being the biggest doesn't make you the best. Nokia made that mistake. Right? BlackBerry made that mistake. Nokia took over. Nokia stopped innovating. They thought, oh, we're the biggest, so we're the best. Apple said no. You have to be the best, and then you can be the biggest. Toyota, Mercedes, they all became comfortable. We're juggernauts. No one's ever going to compete. No one's ever going to compete. Here comes a South African from Pretoria Boys High. Well, he seems smart. He's more into solar power. Oh, no, he's not. He's making the greatest motor vehicle the world has ever seen. The Tesla. They're not the biggest company in the world, but they're the most profitable now. They have the most market cap. They're not the biggest. They're nowhere near Toyota. Toyota's what? 50 years old. Nowhere near Mercedes-Benz. Nowhere near BMW. Their growth factor in 10 years is insane. You know why? Not interested in being the biggest. Interested in being the best. And Man United made that mistake. I think it's a fabulous, fabulous point. And if the leadership doesn't have standards and doesn't have the highest standards, that trickles down, I'm afraid. And that affects what's happening on the pitch. Great point, Lulama. Rikus Swart says, geez, MKT, if we let go of Shaw, we are only left with Maguire and Lindelof. Give us a break. Rikus, I hear you. What is the old saying? Is you're up the creek with no paddle right now. And folks, you know, the greatest landscape that affects all of us is what? Politics, right? Is in politics, the decisions you see now, you're only going to see the effects in 8 years, or in South Africa, our cycle is 5 years. But let's look at America that we all understand. So when you're a president, you inherit the decisions made 2 cycles before you, right? That's 8 years before you. The statistics tell us you only see those rewards. So you know what Man United are paying the rewards for? Or reaping, right? The benefits or the losses are the decisions you made after Alex Ferguson. What you see now isn't Ollie's fault per se. It's not LVG's fault. It's Man United's fault coming out of the gates. And Fergie has to take some of the flack there. And I know Man United fans don't like to hear it, because when Fergie said I should have a hand in making the decision, and he said, hey, let me get a mini-me. Okay, Fergie, but in life, if you want all the glory, what do you get? All of the blame. So Fergie has to take some blame. And Man United now, you're not suffering the consequences of decisions you're making now. You're suffering of decisions you made in 2013. Right? We have to be real about it. So this is what happens to companies. One of my mentors has a great saying about business. She says, businesses, the doors in business are shut 5 years before a company realizes it. And she gave me a case study. I've looked at a few case studies of the biggest companies that fell over the last 200 years. If you're in business right now, folks, your doors aren't shut the day they shut. 5 years before, she says, and she's a business guru, 5 years before, a business's doors are shut then. The decisions you're making now will affect what's happening in 5 years in your company. You may not think it if you haven't been in business for long enough, but I trust this woman. She's been at the top of South African business and African business for over 30 years. She was one of the first people to bring international television to this continent. So she knows business. And she says no business shuts on the day the doors are shut or they repossess your furniture. Man United are reaping the rewards of terrible decisions made in 2013. The Rig says, middleweight world championship on the line. Who do you back, Charlo or Derevinchenko? Tell you what, the middleweight division is interesting right now. So if you aren't seeing it, the biggest boxing deal in the history of mankind, Canelo Alvarez, is having huge problems. He's got two problems. DAZN are looking to hold the money. They denied him a fight because they said, listen, we're not putting that rubbish on. We paid you $365 million guaranteed for 10 fights. We're not letting you take a nonsense fight. But in that fight, by the way, Derevinchenko and Charlo, by the way, the Charlos are twins. This Charlo in particular is no good. They're mediocre. It's a mediocre fight. I think it's for the Silver Belt Championship. So, but Charlo, Derevinchenko is not the guy. We've seen he's got nothing on his resume that should matter. But a great division at the moment. Great division. After lockdown, I think I really prefer the super middleweight division because I think that's where it's going. Because I think Canelo is looking to dominate both. And we got Billy Joe Saunders, who I love, who's a real... he's not a basher. He's a pugilist, a classic pugilist, all movement, all touch. And I think Callum, by the way, we will have, what is this? The Liverpudlian. Callum will come to me there. His surname will come to me now. Absolutely brilliant super middleweight. So that's looking good, between those two. But Charlo, I think it's Charlo all the way. And I think it's quite easy. And I don't see that going the distance. But I think the real test is, who's going to get to fight Canelo Alvarez? Because he's the king. He's the king there. That's the fight that matters. But in that fight, if you're asking me, the Rig, Charlo should win easily, and I don't see it going the distance. But Derevinchenko, by the way, really well schooled. All Eastern Bloc fighters always come from strong stables. And I mean, no matter where you're from in the Eastern Bloc, or the old Eastern Bloc, is terrific. Always well schooled. Always, you look at the amateur pedigree. And in the Eastern Bloc, or the old Eastern Bloc, sorry, that may be offensive language to the old USSR, maybe is the language we use now, is they always have an interesting amateur pedigree, is they stay really long. I mean, you look at the best pound for pound now, the man who puts you in the matrix, he's only got 14 fights, by the way, at the moment. And he's the guy right now. So, but he's got like 100 amateur fights. So always an interesting pedigree there for Derevinchenko. So he won't lose it, but I think Charlo will have too much to beat him. Ryan Alex Ferreira says, how about trying Aaron Wan-Bissaka at CB? Seems like the only guy in the back four who can tackle. That is an interesting one. He's got the lunge tackle really, really well. Ryan, I'd like to hear what you got to say, but I think as you're starting to see, and you saw it with Bayern Munich, they did it with a man who I think is the best left back in the world in Alaba, is if you've got that athletic guy who can make up for lack of technical ability, and now you're seeing how well it's working at Arsenal with Tierney, is you can have that athletic guy on the right or the left side of a back three. I think you can't leave. It would be irresponsible to have Wan-Bissaka in a back four, purely because Man United don't press enough. The shape and the intensity isn't quite there yet. I don't think Oli has developed it enough. It can work at Man City and it can work, with Liverpool, because you saw what happened, I think, with Fabinho being in a back four, is when the intensity and the pressure and the team chemistry is right, is you're never really under pressure at centre-back. You're more intercepting than anything else. Man United centre-backs are under pressure because, I'll tell you what the other problem is. Who's the holding midfield at Man United? Paul Pogba doesn't want that responsibility. And Matic doesn't have the legs to cover. So who's protecting the back four? Especially now, they're struggling. That's where City are lucky. Fernandinho, Gundogan, great legs, and they'll hack ya. So you need somebody to protect the back four in order for things to be real. It's an interesting one. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, I would say yes. Are you willing to go to a back three, though, Ryan? I'd love to hear what you got to say. Folks, ladies and gentlemen, listen, it's been great. It has been awesome. Enjoy your Heritage Day if you're South African. If you're an international viewer, just enjoy being alive. We'll see you, whenever you wake up on the other side and you've enjoyed this show, because it's not Heritage Day for you. You're just living your normal life and contributing to the taxpayer base. Right? But for tonight, it really has been awesome. By the way, show tomorrow. I don't do off days. I don't need a break. So for tonight, you could have been anywhere with anyone, but you chose us, and it is awesome. Remember to push the like button. Before we go, please hit the like button. That pushes us up. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, just won't you push on the bell there and push the subscribe button? Because that helps our numbers. We're looking to grow the community. And if you've got any suggestions, sport@cliffcentral.com. There is no email you can't send, whether it's criticism, constructive or not. Sport@cliffcentral.com. Send all of your suggestions. I love suggestions. The beauty of the digital space is we can grow the community. And I want to hear from fans. We're not these big juggernauts who we're going to do what we're going to do. I want to hear from fans. What content do you want to see? What sport do you want to hear about? I'm always happy to engage. Folks, you could have been anywhere with anyone, but you chose us. And I do not take that lightly. I'm going to say it over and over. Don't take it lightly. Not sure why you watch. I say stupid things into a microphone. People watch and pitch up, and you've been absolutely fantastic. And listen, let's keep it going. Let's grow the biggest sports channel in Africa. That's the goal. Ladies and gentlemen, for tonight, it has been the MKT Show.